friends, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to make the cutest little backpack purse. Why did I say it that way? I don't know, but check out this cute little backpack purse. It's just the most adorable little thing. And we are going to make one in today's video. And I'm going to show you how. So stay tuned for today's video. Making a little backpack purse. Okay, so what we need to make the little backpack purse. We're going to start off with some printer paper. This is 8.5 by 11 inch, just regular printer paper. And you will need 2 pieces if you want, or just the one. It's totally up to you on that part. The next thing you will need is a pencil to mark your paper because I cannot give you a PDF download. So we are going to be making the template from directions. So I'm going to tell you as best and precisely as I possibly can on where to mark your paper, for that way we can cut it and create our template for our cute little mini backpack. The next thing you're going to need is a 14-inch zipper. So it's 14 inches by 1 inch zipper. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a 14 by 1 inch zipper. Then you're going to need 2 coordinating fat quarters. So today I am using these fat quarters right here. So pretty, they go together just wonderfully. 2 fat quarters. The next thing you are going to need is a scrap piece of batting. Make sure that your scrap piece of batting is at least 11 inches wide by 15 inches long. And I am just using this 100% cotton. It is unbleached white cotton. Don't grab anything too thick because then it's going to make it harder to make your bag. So just make sure that it's like a 1/8 or less piece of batting. The next thing you are going to need is a little bit of some SF101, so that's Pellon SF101, fusible woven interfacing. The next thing you're going to need is some paper scissors, because we don't use regular scissors on our paper. And then you're going to need your ruler, your sewing machine, some coordinating thread, some regular scissors, and anything else that you need in your sewing room. Especially because we also need some binding clips. So grab your binding clips because we're going to be using those as well. So let's get to starting with the first step of marking our paper. This is a verbal visual only, so you have to pay attention, or you can just rewind and listen again. All right. Our piece of paper is laying in front of us with the 8.5 inch part being tall and the 11 inch part being wide. And during this whole showing you process, we might struggle with some camera trying to focus if I bring my hands too close, as you can see. Oh, I'm going to try my best not to have that happen. All right, so here is our piece of paper. My 11 inches is going across the bottom. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our ruler and we're going to measure up 1 1/4 inch from the edge of the paper. So 1 1/4 inch from the bottom, and you are going to draw a line just like this across the bottom. So there is our drawn line, 1 1/4 inch up. The next thing we're going to do is from the edge, and we're going to do this on both sides, we are going to mark 1/4 inch in. 1/4 inch in. So we're creating this little square at the bottom. We're going to come over here to the other side and we're going to mark 1/4 inch in, just a 1/4 inch. Not 1 1/4, just a 1/4 inch. So our first one was 1 1/4 inch up. Second one was a 1/4 inch in from both sides. All right. The next marking is going to be, we're going to come in from the sides, on both sides, and we're going to come in 3 inches in, And then right here, we're going to line up the 3-inch line. So you're going to think 3 inches and 3 inches. You're going to line that 3-inch line on your 1 1/4 inch line that you drew up. So 3 inches from that line, 3 inches from the edge, and we're going to draw a line right here, just like that. So it should go 3 inches in and 3 inches up, but from above that 1 1/4 inch line. We're going to repeat that step on the other side. So again, 3-inch mark right here on our drawn line and 3-inch up. And we're going to make a line right to the top of that. All right. Now, the next marking we need to make is from the top down. So we are going to come down 1 1/8. If you want to know your center, we're going to do this from the center. Fold your paper exactly in half. Make a crease up there. And now I have my center marking. And what I'm going to do is come in 1 1/8 of an inch. If you don't know what 1/8 is, find your ruler. And remember, each of these little markings, 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, a half, so on and so forth. So all the little markings are your 1/8 markings. So we're coming in 1 1/8, which is the first notch after your 1 inch. So 1 1/8 inch down from the top, mark the center, just like this. So I just made about a 1-inch line right there from the top down, 1 1/8 of an inch. The next part is you're going to have to really pay attention, and we're going to do this from one side only. So we're going to come over here to this side right here. All right, so since we're working on one side, what we're going to do is, now I'm going to do my best to give you these instructions. We are going to come in, everything's going to be from this line that we drew, and we're going to come in 4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4 inches from that bottom line. And then from this side right here, lining it up with this side, we're going to come in 3 1/8 of an inch. So 4 inches up from our line and 3 1/8 inches in from the edge. And we're going to make a dot, just a little dot on the paper, just like that. So you can see there's my little dot. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in 4 1/2 inches up from our line. So 4 1/2 inch mark on that drawn line, and we're going to come in 3 1/4 from this side edge. So 4 1/2 inches up, 3 1/4 inches in from the edge, and we're going to make a dot, just like that. The next thing is 5 inches. So we're going to come in 5 inches from this line, and we're going to come in 3 3/8 inch in. So again, with the 8s, you have 1/8, 1/4, 3/8. So 5 inches from the line. My ruler seems to be 5 inches right here. And then we're going to come in 3 3/8 inch in. 3 1, 2, 3/8 inch right here, and I'm going to make a dot, just like that. So I should have 3 dots. One is 4 inches from the top, 3 1/8 inches in. Then we have 4 1/2 inches from the top and 3 1/4 inches in. Then we have 5 inches from this line up and 3 3/8 inches in. The next line is 5 1/2 inches from that line. So I'm just going to slide my paper kind of sideways a little bit to make room for the ruler. So I'm going to come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1/2 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to come in 3 5/8. Okay. 3 5/8. So 1, 2, 3, and then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the notch after a half. here, and 5.5 inches up, and we're going to make a dot, just like that. Now we're going to come up 5 3/4 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3/4 inch from that line, and then we're going to come in 3 7/8. So 1, 2, 3 7/8 is right before the 4. And we're going to make a dot. The next one is 6 inches up. So 6 inches up from the line. And then we're going to go in 4 1/4 inch. So 4 1/4 inch in from this edge. And we're going to make a dot. So again, all those dots are from down here at this line. Okay, we're going from this line right here. We're going to go 4 inches up from this line and 3 1/8 inch in for our first dot. Then we're going to go to 4 1/2 inches up from the line and 3 1/4 inches in and make a dot. Then we're going to go 5 inches up from this line, and then in from this edge, we're going to go in 3 3/8. Then we're going to go 5 1/2 inches up from this line and go 3 5/8. I think that's this one. No, that's this one. Then we're going to go from this line again. We're going to go 5 3/4 inch in. And then we're going to go in to 3 7/8. So 3 7/8 from here. And then we're going to go up 6 inches from this line and make a dot at 4 1/4 inches in from the edge. So 4.25. And then this one is 3 7/8. And then this dot right here is 3 5/8. This dot right here is 3 3/8. This dot right here is 3.25. And this dot right here is 3 1/8. All of these come in again right here. It's 4 inches up, 4 inches up. So everything is up from this line right here. Then the next one is 4 1/2 inches up. Then the next one is 5 inches up. The next one is 5 1/2 inches up. Then the next one is 5 3/4, 3/4 up. And then the last one is 6 inches up. Okay. Let's bring this in close so that you can see. From this line up 4 inches in, make your dot at 3 1/8. 4 1/2 inches up and in from, we're going to make a dot at 3 1/4. Then we're going to go 5 inches up and make a dot at 3 3/8 inch. 5 1/2 inches up, 3 5/8. And then we're going to go 5 3/4 inch up and make a dot at 3 7/8. And then 6 inches up and in to 4 1/4 inch. And then we are going to play connect the dots. So we're going to literally from here, we're going to connect the dots just like this. And it's a very light line. And then we're going to connect that with this right here. So we should have a curve that comes around just like that. So we're going to play connect the dots just like that. All right. Hopefully that was easy to understand, because the next step is to just fold your paper in half just like this. Make it exactly in half. And what we're going to do, once it's in half, is we're going to go ahead and cut out, cutting both pieces of paper, both sides of the paper at the same time. We're going to cut out this template, just like this. Again, we connected our dots, so we're just going to go from dot to dot with our curve to the top, just like that. When you open it up, you're going to have a piece that looks like this. So you definitely have a little hat. Now, the reason why I said you can use 2 pieces of paper is because you could take that second piece of paper and cut out that same exact diagram, or just use your original template, hook these together with some tape, and you will have a template that looks like this. Now, you can have it both ways if you want. You can either have it this way, because this is everything will be cut on the fold, or you can have it this way and you can cut one large piece out. I'm just going to do this template that I already have because it's the same as my new one, and I'm going to do the 2 pieces of paper method for today's video. But this, I will show you the same method by folding it in half as well in today's video. So we should now have a template that looks like this. No PDF diagram needed, and we are going to get started on making our bag. So hopefully you guys understood those directions. Let's get started. First things first, we're going to take our 2 fat quarters and press them nicely. All right, now that our fat quarters are pressed, we are going to start by making a nice straight line on one side. So I'm just going to go ahead and line both of these up. I'm going to line the bottom up with a line, and I'm going to line the top or the side right here. And I'm going to go ahead and line my ruler up and straighten out one side. So I'm going to go ahead and straighten out the one side of both fat quarters stacked on top of each other. Now that is done, I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to line it up with a line on my cutting mat. On my cutting mat. I have it started at the 0. And I'm going to come over 11 inches. 11 inches, just like this. I'm over 11 inches. Line my ruler up. Make the cut. Slide this away. All right, we're going to turn that big piece first. That's what we're going to do. And I am going to make a nice straight cut on one side because I need to get rid of the selvage. Remember, I'm cutting both the background and the outside of the bag. So both the accent, so here's the outside of the bag color, and then my accent color is the brown. I probably should have said that, but my accent color is also my lining color. So my lining is also my accent color. So if I refer to the accent color, it's also your lining color. So just thought I would show you that. All right, so I have this lined up. I'm going to go ahead and cut a nice straight line on the one side. Get rid of the selvage. And I'm going to come over 15 inches from the edge. So you'll have a piece that's 11 inches by 15 inches. So here we are, 15 inches. So here's my 11 by 15 inch piece of both these 2 pieces. So my lining or outside fabric, because this will be connected, and my outside fabric. So both of your fat quarters. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. And now you get to decide which one of these 2 you want to be your straps. You could have your straps be the outside or they can be the lining. That one is up to you. So these two pieces right here, I'm going to go ahead and put this one aside, and I'm going to line this one up on a line. This would be my lining or accent. It's the same thing for me. And I'm going to make a cut at 4 inches from the edge. So this is going to be my straps. So we're going to come to the 4 inches over, right here, and right there. And if you guys are curious about this ruler, this is the Quilters Slidelock by So Be It Quilts. So it's the Quilters Slidelock ruler by So Be It Quilts. It has special bumpers in it that hold to the fabric. Definitely great for those with arthritis or disabilities to be able to just hold down on a ruler and make a cut without it going anywhere. So, and you barely have to add any pressure. So I will put a link to that in the description below this video. All right, so here is my piece for my straps. Just going to set that aside. Okay, come on, stay. Then you get to choose which fabric you want to be your little hooks. So here we have some hooks right here and right here and right here. We're going to decide which one we want to be that. And I think with this bag, I'm going to go ahead and make my hooks the outside fabric color. So I'm going to go ahead and on this one, from my nice straight edge, I'm going to come over 2 inches. And this is my 11 inches. We want it at the 11 inches by 2 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and make a cut. So I have that. So those are going to be my little hooks. The next thing you need to decide is if you want the accent to be on the outside. I do want the accent to be on the outside right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take my accent color. Again, this is the leftover, so this is 11 inches by whatever was left over of my fat quarter. And I'm going to go ahead and cut 4 1 1/4 inch pieces off of here. So 1 1/4 inches, I'm going to cut 4 of them. 2 for the outside and 2 for the inside. 1 1/4. 1 1/4. 1 1/4, and one more. Oops. 1 1/4. And then this right here, just going to trim it up and it's going to go in my string bin. I just want to make a nice straight line on it. And that will go with my strings. All right. So there's my parts that are going to go with my zipper. These will also need the interfacing. All 4 pieces, we're going to take our interfacing and we're just going to cut 2 1/2 inch strip off of here times 2. So 2 2 1/2 inch strips. So there's 1 2 1/2 inch strip. And a second 2 1/2 inch strip. Let's just line that up. Just like that. And that's all I need from the interfacing. And we're going to split these in half. So 1 1/4. So here's 1 1/4. Here's 2 of them. That'll go like this, and we'll trim them down to size, obviously. And then let's split this one in half. 1 1/4 inch. You could have just cut some 1 1/4 inch strips off of your interfacing. Probably would have been easier, but you know. Anyway, so these are going to go with these other 2. We're going to set that over with the iron for now. We're also going to take our little strap piece that we cut for our little straps here, our little hooks, and we're going to set that over at the iron, as well as our bag holders. So our straps are also that 4-inch piece by the width of fabric. We're going to set that over at the iron as well. Now we have this one and this one left. And I don't think I'm going to have enough of this. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to have enough. Let's see. Oh, I should. So I'm going to take this piece right here, and I'm going to, because this is going to be for my binding on the inside. We're going to be binding this bag. I need to cut some binding pieces. So I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inch strips. Nope, there's not enough. 1 3/4, nope. Let's see right now. And then 1 3/4. Nope, it's not going to work. Not enough of that one. So it looks like my binding will be my outside fabric. Look at that. So we're going to cut some 1 3/4 inch strips. So we're going to cut 2 of them. 1 3/4. 1 3/4 there. So we're going to cut 2 1 3/4 inch strips off of the fabric. So this will add a little bit more interest on the inside of the bag. So my binding will be a totally different color. So we just need those. I'm going to set those aside because they're not needed right now. I'm also going to set aside this leftover fabric because, again, that is not needed right now. And neither is this last piece. So out of 2 fat quarters, you should get 2 11 by 15 inch rectangles, 1 2-inch by 11-inch piece for your, we're going to use this as an example for the little, the holder hooks or whatever you want to call it. Then you should get 4 1 1/4 by 11-inch strips. So 4 of those. I only showed you 2, but you need 4. Then you needed your 1 1/4 inch piece of interfacing, 4 of those. And then from one or the other, it didn't matter if you wanted your accent or whatever one to be what you want it, because you could have this bag all the outside one color if you want, but I chose to have my accent or lining color, a 4-inch by width of fabric piece. And that's what you should have gotten, plus your 2 1 3/4 inch strips that are going to be used on the inside for the binding. So for my binding, I'm going to have 2 different colors. This one I just used scraps on, so that's why I have 1 solid color for that. This is what I had with my scraps. All right. So I'm going to set the binding aside because that's not needed. And we're going to move on to cutting a piece of batting out. So we're going to take this batting, and I just need to line it up on that. Come over to the 15. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to turn it and make it 11 inches wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to straighten it out because I do want this to be the exact size when I go to create my little quilt sandwich that we're going to be making. Okay. So here is where you have a choice. Here are my 2 pieces. I'm going to put them wrong side up for now. I'm going to take my exact size piece and I'm going to lay it on here. Now you could use spray, basting spray if you want, or you can use whatever you want to make this stick, basting powder, or you can use pins or whatever. But we are just going to line these up, smooth it out, and I'm going to take it to the iron and I'm going to press the layers together so that they're super duper flat. Okay. And then we are going to quilt this however you want to quilt it. As you can see, I did a diagonal crosshatch on this bag. So you can quilt however you want. You can free motion quilt it. You can quilt around your, fabric, whatever you want. We are going to be quilting this piece of fabric. So baste it however you want, and let's go to the machine and quilt this up. So I decided to abstract quilt it because, well, this is pretty abstract of a piece. So you can see it's just abstract quilted and it's nice and flat, and that's what we're looking for. So the next step is to set this aside, and we're going to go to the iron and start doing some pressing. Okay, we're here at the iron, and what we're going to do is we're going to take that piece that we cut 4 inches by width of fabric. This piece is the piece that we are using for our straps. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to just fold this in half, just like this, and I'm going to iron it in half, creating a crease, just like this, directly in half. Okay, once it is folded in half, we are going to open this back up, and we're going to fold in the sides into that half mark. So I'm going to go ahead now and fold one side in, coming down the side, just like this. Try not to burn yourself. And then we're going to flip it around and press the other side in towards that middle. Once you have both sides pressed into the middle, you're going to fold it in half and press it from the top, getting it nice and flat and making sure both of your ends touch. Both of the ends are touching in the same spot. So I have it nice and flat, nice and equal. So there we have that piece. We're just going to set that aside. And now we're going to do some more folding. So the pieces that's 2 inches by 11 inches. Okay, this is our little hook pieces. We're going to do that same method. We're going to fold it in half. Now this one is smaller, so you take more chances of burning your fingers, so keep your fingers away if you can. And then we're going to fold the sides in, and this is going to create a little tiny piece. Now I don't have any hooks on this bag, but when you go to make this bag, you could actually add a little 1/2 inch hook to the top. I used my fingernails, by the way, for this because it was still hot. That way I can save on my fingers getting burnt. But if you have any little swivel hooks, you could actually use little swivel hooks for this, or you can use some D-rings for your bag, and I'll show you where you can add those if you would like to. So notice I just used my fingers to fold that, and then I'm pressing it. So both my ends are equally landing at that same spot. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. We're going to go ahead now and grab our 4 1 1/4 by 11 inch pieces right here. And we're going to fuse those to the fusible interfacing. Now again, the interfacing is just a little bit bigger than you need. But we're going to go ahead and put that pokey side up. So the glue side is up. Make sure your glue side is up. Now I'm going to go ahead and do all 4 of these. So I'm going to take one and lay it on that one. And I'm going to go ahead and just grab my paper scissors because they're right here. And I'm going to cut that to size. This can just go in my scraps. I'm going to lay the second one on here. Again, lining it up. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that excess away. Grab my third one. Again, the glue side is up, facing the fabric, because we definitely don't want to glue it to our ironing board. I make sure by touching it so that I can feel the little pokies when I do this. All right, so we're going to pull those away. I don't need these. These can just go in my scraps. And I'm going to go ahead now and press all of these to the interfacing. Notice I'm lifting, not sliding. It looks like I'm sliding, but I'm actually lifting the iron, because if you slide it, you'll stretch it. You don't want to do that. Once they're all heated on there to the manufacturer's instructions, you should have your 4 pieces fully glued to the interfacing, just like that. And we're going to now take all of this and our zipper, which I'm going to give it a little press. It's a nylon zipper, so just be careful. All right, so now I have a nice straight zipper. I have my 4 pieces, my single piece, and this other single piece. So my straps, my little hooks, and my 4 sides to the zipper. And we're going to take these over to the sewing machine and sew them. With my walking foot still attached, I'm going to start with my straps. So I'm going to go ahead and sew an 1/8 of an inch down on the side that we folded. So the folded side, I'm going to sew an 1/8 of an inch from one side to the other. I'm just going to carefully sew it. Okay, and now I'm going to flip it around and sew an 1/8 of an inch on the other side. So it should be sewn on both sides. My thread is exactly this color, so you can see it's hard to see. You can see that it's hard to see. So it's sewn down both sides. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside, and while I still have my walking foot, I'm going to go ahead and grab my little hook fabric. This is a lot smaller, but I'm going to keep my walking foot on here, and I'm going to go ahead and sew the opening side shut first. So the open side, I'm going to seal that shut first with an 1/8 of an inch stitch. I'm going to go ahead and flip that around, and I'm going to sew down the other side an 1/8 of an inch from the edge. All right, so now that we have a non-stitched piece of fabric, let me go ahead and re-thread this real quick. Okay, now that one is sewn. You can see on both sides. You can see my stitch is an 1/8 of an inch from the edge, sealing it all up. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and switch my foot out to a skinnier one that fits next to zippers. So you can use your zipper foot at this point, or you can use your 1/4 inch foot. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my 1/4 foot and set my walking foot aside. I'm going to tighten this down. And we're going to do our zipper. So now we need our binding clips. All right, with the binding clips, I'm going to go ahead now and just take a couple out. And we are going to take our zipper now and have it right side up. Okay, and we're going to take one of these 1 1/4 inch strips by 11 inches, and we're going to set this on top, right sides together with the zipper, and I'm going to go ahead and clip it on here, just like this, all the way down, lining it up with the edge of the zipper. And then I'm going to flip it over now, and on that same side that I'm clipped to, I'm going to go ahead and take another 1 1/4 by 11 inch piece, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it right sides together now, and we are going to make a little sandwich of the zipper and the 2 pieces. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the clips, re-add the clips as I line it up. Just removing and re-adding the clips, lining it up, and one more right there. And I have that ready to sew. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew down this edge. Again, you can use your zipper foot or you can use this foot. I'm just sewing with this foot for now. I can feel the edge of my zipper. Everything's staying nice and aligned. And a back stitch. Okay, so now that is stitched, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pressing it back. So you can take a pressing tool and you can press it back, making a nice flat seam right here. And then roll it to the other side and do that same procedure. So opening it up and pressing it back so that it's nice and flat. I'm using invisible zippers because I didn't want to cut zipper by the yard for this project. So I decided to just use my invisible zippers up for these little bags. All right. And now that it's pressed, or you can take it to the iron and carefully iron or press it, I'm going to go ahead now and top stitch on that across it. So we're just going to hold it down. It's nice and pressed on both sides. Top stitching 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the fold. All right, so you can see it is top stitched now, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Again, my thread matches beautifully, so you really can't see, but it got both sides. And now we're going to turn the zipper and repeat that step on the opposite side. So again, we're going to take right sides together. We're going to line it up on both sides right here. That way it's centered on there. And we're going to clip this equal with the zipper on the one side, and then we're going to flip it over and put our next piece right sides together. Again, you're putting it equal with your original piece, and we're going to go ahead and stitch down that. I can feel my zipper under here, so I know where I'm stitching. Okay, we're going to do that same procedure where we finger press it back, or with our wooden press tool, just rubbing it along that seam, pushing it nicely back. Flip the whole thing over and do the other side, and then top stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge right here at this fold. Now, to keep these sides from being open, we're going to go ahead and stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge of those and seal those sides closed. Go ahead and go down the opposite side. Now you should have a piece that looks like this, and if you were to open your zipper, it opens right up. So I'm going to go ahead and open the zipper now, keeping it open. And on the one side, I'm going to go ahead and hold it closed like this. So here's it open. I'm going to hold it closed and I'm going to stitch across it right there on that end to close it, because we want our zipper inside the parameters of that piece that we just made. I'm just stitching across it so that it stays shut and my zipper can't come off the end when we cut these off. So you should be left with a piece that is 11 inches by 2.5 inches. Now, depending on the zipper you use, it might change things, but it should be 2.5 inches or thereabouts. You can see mine's kind of a little bit bigger than 2.5 inches, but that's perfectly normal. So it should be about, or mostly, 2.5 inches. If I would have used my zipper foot, it would have been exactly 2.5 inches, but I didn't use my zipper foot on this. All right, so 2.5 inches by 11 inch piece. We're going to go ahead and set that aside now, and we're going to get to making this bag. Okay, so here we are with all of our parts and pieces. Most of them, I should say. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on our piece that we quilted, which is the outside and inside of the bag. So remember when I had you make your template, and it's just half of a template. If you are just doing the half of the template and you did not tape it to an opposite side that is exactly the same, what we are going to do is fold your project exactly in half. So the 15-inch side is the side you're folding exactly in half. Okay? And you're going to keep that exactly in half, and you're going to take your piece of paper, which is your template, and you are going to line that up on the fold. So as best as you can on the fold, and then you're going to pin it in place. So you're going to take some pins, pin it in place, and then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut out your template on your fabric. If you are taping two pieces together like I have done, you're going to take those two pieces and you're going to lay it on here. You're going to center it where you have about 1/4 inch. I made this oversized, about 1/4 inch on each side there. And it should almost match perfectly with both of the top and the bottom. And what we're going to do is you can pin it in place, or you can cut like I am about to cut with my rotary cutter. What we're going to do right here, so I'm going to go ahead and put my rotary cutter in. I'm going to create that notch, and I'm going to very carefully follow my paper. Following the paper around to the top right there. I'm going to follow my paper across this line right here. Just like that. And again, you can use scissors for this part if you don't trust yourself. I'm going to go ahead and keep that paper aligned. I'm going to go ahead and get this edge right there. And then I'm going to repeat by creating my crease here and there. I'm going to turn it just a little bit because you need to turn things to work on your stuff. I'm going to cut right there. So you can see that's cut away. And then I'm going to go ahead and follow this curve from the top. Just going to follow the curve with my rotary cutter along the edge of the paper. And don't worry if it comes a little bit jagged, because we will be putting binding over our pieces. I'm just going to make sure that I'm getting right there at that edge. It's like a little tiny piece hooked right there. Let's move this out of the way so that I can see. There we go. Reline this back up right here. We're going to go ahead and do the other sides. Again, you can pin your template on here. I'm just too lazy to reach over and grab my pins. So it's all lined back up again. I'm going to go ahead now and cut this side. Again, I'm just lining the rotary blade up, keeping my fingers out of the way, and carefully going along the edge of my template. and over the top, just like that. And again, those little jaggedy pieces, you can just cut away like that, making sure everything's lined up again. I'm going to go ahead and cut this side off. I'm going to go ahead and cut this top piece off. You can see I'm doing everything nice and slowly. And if you don't trust yourself in these corners, you could always just use scissors. All right, this piece is off. I'm going to turn it. Make sure that my template is lined back up. Line it back up. Everything's good. I'm going to cut from the top. Go around. My rotary blade is along the edge of my paper. My fingers are out of the way. I'm being very careful. Or at least attempting to be very careful. All right. And there's a couple little threads hooked right here. Right there. And a little thread hooked right here. And now you can see the template and the fabric, right? Remove it and you have a piece that looks like this. Okay? I know it looks like a maxi pad, and I'm very sorry for that, my friends. But we're going to be working with this. I know, I put the image in your head and then it's stuck there, right? Okay. Sorry for that. All right, now the next step is assembling this thing. So first we're going to start with our little straps right here. We're going to take and cut off our top little hook. So the top hook is this hook right here. Like I said, so here's your, when I was ironing and I told you about using clips or a lobster claw or a swivel hook, whatever you want to call it, you can put a swivel hook in here first, hook it down so that it stays up there, and you can have a little swivel hook on the end on here so you can hook it to a keychain or whatever, and you can also put little tiny D-rings down here. Those are the options, but I'm not really going to do that, but if you wanted to, you can. I just made the finger hook enough so that way you can just hold it with your finger. So I'm going to go ahead and make my finger hook about, that should be long enough. So it is, let's just tell you, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and open my blade and cut at 5 1/4 inches. So there's my top hook, just like that. And set that aside. And then we're going to just fold this in half and cut it for our 2 little side pieces. You should have plenty of fabric for this. Okay, I made myself a little crease. Make sure they're the exact same size. Right there. So these are about 2.5 inches. That should be what's left. So you have your little sides, okay, your little side pull, and then you have your top piece, okay? So we're going to set those with the piece because we're going to take all these parts and pieces over to the sewing machine. All right, then the next thing is your straps. What we're going to do is cut this selvage off of here first. We're going to fold this piece, which is the width of, it was the width of your fat quarter, remember? So the length of it, I should say. We're just going to fold this really long piece. It should have been, I'll just tell you right now, it should have been 21 inches by 4 inches, and then we did the folding and stuff. So you should be left with 2 10.5 inch pieces. So we're going to fold this in half, and then we're going to cut it. And I just so happen to have my paper scissors near, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it right here on the fold. So both these pieces should be about 10.5 inches. Yep, exactly 10.5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and throw that with the bag, all the pieces. And then this right here, this outer piece, we're just going to make sure that it's 2.5 inches. So let's put it on this side down. No, that's going to be too big. We're just going to make sure that it's 2.5 inches. Remember, mine is just a tiny, tiny bit bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and just shave off a tiny bit on that side, and I'm going to shave off a tiny bit on this side. And my stitching is still there, so it's still holding it closed. So I'm just carefully holding my ruler along it. And now it should be exactly 2.5 inches. So I just literally shaved off, you know, a very, very small amount. So now we're going to take this piece and you're going to also size it to your pattern. So remember, we closed the end of the zipper, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and lay this piece here and there, and you should have a little bit on both sides. We're going to go ahead and trim that straight. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab my rotary cutter, just like that, and trim off that end of the zipper. And then we're going to go ahead now and trim off this end of the zipper. This end is sealed shut still, so we didn't need to sew across it because it's still closed. We never opened this part of the zipper, so it should still stay closed. All right, so let's take all this over now to the sewing machine and start sewing it together. Here's all of our pieces. So I'm going to start off with the strap. So I'm going to move this aside. Ooh, I did cut the opening on the opposite side. I didn't realize I got the stitching on that. I thought I missed it. Just going to reseal it real quick. So it's resealed shut. I'm just going to set that aside. We're going to start with the straps and the little hooks. So here we have the longer strap, or the little hook piece, and this one is the 5.5 inches. We're just going to fold this in half, and on the outside, whatever you designated as the outside of your bag, we're going to stick that in the center at the top. Now, if you want to find your center, you could also just fold it in half, make a little crease, and find your center right here, and stick it on there like this. And we're going to go ahead and stitch that on. Oops, come on, stay. Who doesn't want to stay? Okay, so I'm going to stitch it on with 1/8 of an inch seam. I'm going to back stitch several times. Okay, that way it's on there and it ain't going nowhere. The next thing is we're going to take one strap for one side and one strap for the other side, and we're going to line the edge up with the top of the curve. Okay, so it's going to stick out a little bit, and we're going to stitch 1/8 of an inch seam to hold these on from one side. I'm just going to back stitch along the way, and then I'm going to go into the other side, crossing over my little hook, back stitching, and just because I need more stitching, I'm going to go over the whole thing one more time, just like that. So now you should have this funky piece right here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of both my straps and I'm going to line them 1/8 of an inch up from this corner right here. So about 1/8 of an inch up from that corner, making sure that they are not tangled, so they're laying flat. Just keep it flat and bring the one end up 1/8 of an inch from that corner, and we're going to sew it on with 1/8 of an inch. Back stitching, and then we're going to turn it to the other side and repeat. So you can see it's about 1/8 of an inch up, and then we're going to do the same thing with this one, just folding it up, come up about 1/8 of an inch, and sew it on with 1/8 of an inch. So now you have the back part of your bag. We're also going to go ahead now and center between here. Center is 1 1/4 between this. We're going to put our little side hooks. So again, this is where you add your D-ring if you wanted a D-ring, and if you wanted a swivel hook, you would have added that before stitching it down. And then you would stitch it across first. But right now, I'm not making them with any of those because I don't have the little ones, and I really don't want to order them. So, because I don't know how many of these little tiny bags I'm going to make. All right, so I'm going to stitch this with 1/8 of an inch. It's folded in half. And go ahead and turn it around. repeat its center, just folding it in half, putting it in the center, stitching it on. Just like that. Okay, so now you have your little hooks. You have your backpack straps and you have your bigger hook. Okay, the next thing is to take the zipper, okay, the zipper section, and we are going to just place that right sides together. My zipper is going to open. Now this is a left-handed and right-handed thing. If you open your bag, so this is the side of the bag right here, and you're going to be opening it like this because this is the back. If you're opening it like this, you want your zipper to land on this side. So to start opening your zipper, you're going to be having it on when the bag is facing this way. So when the outside of the bag is facing you, you're going to have your zipper open from the right. Okay? So it's going to come on the right and open to the left. If you are opposite-handed, so you turn your bag back around again, if you are opposite-handed, so left-handed, and you want your zipper to open this way, then you would put your zipper head on the opposite side. Okay, so for right-handed people, you're going to put your zipper head right sides together, so make sure that your zipper pull is right sides together with the center section. Okay, right sides together, everything lines up, it's exactly the right size, and we are going to sew 1/4 of an inch right here across this. Okay, so 1/4 inch seam. Okay, I'm going to turn the whole thing around and sew another 1/4 inch seam on the opposite side. Okay, so now I have a 1/4 inch seam on both sides. Okay, what we're going to do is remember those binding pieces that we cut. I'm just doing mine with the accent colors, so here they are right here, those binding pieces. We're going to take and cut off 2.5 inches from one of them, and we're going to cut off 2.5 inches from the other one. So 2.5 inches is what we're going to cut off from both of these. You need the length. Don't cut 5 inches off of one piece because you need the length of it. So we're going to go ahead and cut 2 of these 2.5 inches. So now that I've cut those 2.5 inch pieces, off, that should leave me with about 19 inches on both my pieces left. All right, we're going to put this on here, right sides together with it upside down, and I'm going to sew that 1/4 of an inch seam right across that one, turn it around, and I'm going to add the other piece right sides together with the piece that you can see, and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on that one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip this back. You can finger press it if you want. And we're going to come over to this other side now. And now you can see that it's wrong side up. I'm going to fold it in onto itself, matching the end up with that seam right here. And then we're just going to fold it over on top of it. So we're binding it. So again, it's upside down. We're folding this edge, this raw edge, into the seam. So matching it up with the seam right here, then folding it up and over, and we're going to top stitch that with 1/8 of an inch along the edge of that piece. So right along the edge. So you can see it's top stitched right along that edge. Now we're going to repeat with this other one. So again, fold it into the stitching, then fold it on top of itself, hold it down, and sew 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And as you can see, it is sealed and it's nicely stitched. All right, now that that is done, we're going to go ahead now and we're going to find the center of this piece, and we're going to match the center of this with the top of the bag. So I'm going to go ahead now. My zipper is open, okay? Mostly. It's about halfway, okay? We're going to find that center. To do that, I'm just going to fold the centers in together like this. So folding those centers in together. And I'm going to make a little snip right here. And then I'm going to fold the center in together on this side. And I'm going to make a little snip right here. Okay. Then I'm going to fold, well, this one I don't need to because we know where the center is of that. But this one, fold in half. Okay. Line up these two ends. Find your center up here at the top. And then make a little snip. It's no more than 1/8 of an inch of a snip. Okay. We're going to match this little snip up with this little snip. Just like this. And we're going to take those clips that I told you you're going to need, and we're going to place clips on that right there. And we're going to just follow it around. Now this is now a curve that we're doing. You're going to follow it around, straightening everything out. And you're going to pin this around this edge. And when you come to this end, it should match right up. You also want your binding facing down. So when you come right here, just clip your binding facing down. Okay? Now we're going to come to this end. We're going to go to the other side. You can see that it matches right up. Go to the other side and start folding that one in, creating the crease. So I'm just going to do this because it's easier if it's on my lap doing this. So I'm just going to line it up and clip it in place. Obviously you can't see what I'm doing because I'm trying to do it away from the flat, because when I flatten it out, it messes it up. So I'm doing it in my lap. All right, one more clip right. Oops, my clips are flying. Okay, so you should have this lovely clipped piece all the way around, just like this. So there's our clipped piece, and you can see I accidentally folded my lining fabric. Make sure all that's nice and flattened out, lining fabric and the outside. We're going to go ahead and sew this now all the way around this curve, very carefully, like with a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this end with a 1/4 inch seam and go all the way around, very carefully, like. I'm going to start at the end. I'm going to come in, back stitch, and I'm going to carefully just remove some of those clips for now, holding this down with a 1/4 inch seam. We're going to carefully go around this curve, and you can adjust as you need. Adjust it as you need. Trying to keep everything super flat around that curve, because you don't want puckers. So 1/4 inch seam all the way around. And mine is trying to fold on me, so be very careful and cautious about that once you remove your clips. Very carefully. 1/4 inch seam. Once you get to the straightaway, it makes it a little bit easier. Making sure that my binding is folded facing down. Coming down to this end right here. Back stitch at the end, and there we have it sewn. So if you flip it out like this, you can see that it's nicely hooked there. Comes around the front, nothing is wrinkled. If you wrinkle it, you might want to go back and fix it. So you can see there's no puckers. it's nicely hooked all the way around. So I'm just going to push that back out again. Okay, and now we're going to put this other side on. So we're going to go ahead now, starting at this end, and we're going to clip it. Again, we're going to make sure that that binding is facing down. Okay, put a clip on it. I'm going to go ahead and do this other side so you can see right in front of you, making sure that everything is down. We're going to match our notch up here with the center of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and match my little notch up with the center and put a clip on that. And then we're just going to roll the rest of it in. And don't worry about this little piece right here. You can clip that off if you would like with a pair of scissors. It's literally barely hanging over. So if you want to get rid of that now, you can. Just snip that away right there and right there so that they're level with the bag. It really wasn't going to be in the way anyway, but let's match that back up so that you can see. And we just roll it into there, making sure that everything stays nice and flat. Just working it in. So come to this side and do the same thing. You can straighten it out if you need to make it easier. Everything should match right up. Come right here. If you would have used thicker batting, which I've warned you against, this would be a lot harder to do. So here we go. We're going to start at this end. We're going to be shoving this under like this. So shove it under, nice and flat. And we're going to start at the end with a 1/4 inch seam and follow this around now. Very carefully, just sew a little bit at a time. Very carefully, like, come around that curve. Coming around that curve, I'm just pushing everything down. Very carefully coming into that curve. A 1/4 inch seam. And now the straightaway. All right, so now that one is stitched all the way around. So now, if you open your zipper the whole way and you roll the bag out, you can make sure that you have no folds and puckers along the whole top. Okay, no folds and puckers, no folds and puckers. Check the whole thing. Your bag is almost complete. Your backpack straps are coming out at the same position at the bottom. Everything is sitting flat. Look at that. Now all we need to do is bind it. So what we're going to do is put the bag right out again like this. Just throw all that in there. I'm going to keep those straps out of the way. They naturally want to stay in the middle, which is a good thing. And we're going to go ahead now and take those pieces right here of the binding and we're going to attach it. So we're going to start with one. And what I'm going to do is flatten my bag out, and with my 1/4 inch seam, the first thing I'm going to do is fold one end in, just like this, about a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to finger press that. Finger press that. And I'm going to have this right sides together with the bag, so you're going to see the wrong side. And I'm going to line this up at the end right here with that fold sticking out at the exact end, okay? And I'm just going to attach the binding. You can clip it on at first if you want, but I'm not going to. With that same 1/4 inch seam, sew your binding on. And just adjust and roll as you need. Flattening everything out as I come around this curve. Making sure everything is out of the way. Coming around the curve. And if you wanted to have pre-cut this, it would have been 16.5 inches, but I'm not going to pre-cut, and I'm going to show you why. Because every bag is not going to be exact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch away from this edge right here. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch away, nice and straight, just like that. It's kind of crooked, but that's okay. And we're going to fold this in and up, just like this, create my crease. And I'm going to go ahead and just line it up with the end, just like this. And I'm going to sew past that, back stitch. And the next step is to fold this binding into the line and around. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. It's going to naturally want to fold into it like this. Okay, just folding it in to my stitch line and then around. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this in place. You can see it's just going to, once it's folded, it just kind of folds around nicely. We're going to clip that in place. And you can go ahead and sew both sides on and then prep them to clip, or you can just do one side at a time. Sorry, I have to come down to my lap for a second. Make it easier on myself. Folding it in to the line and then over like this. Clip it into the line. I know I'm blocking the camera. It's really hard. And then clip it. I like using the outside of the bag fabric as the binding. It looks super cute. All right. So we're just going to close that over. Clip it into place. All the way around. Nicely. Just like that. So that piece is clipped on. So now we're just going to sew. You can sew from this side and sew in the line right here. Or you can sew from the other side and just sew on the outside. But I'm going to sew from in the line. And it should catch. So I'm stitching in the ditch. There we go. It should catch it all the way around. Stitching in the ditch, which is my 1/4 inch seam. And it should catch it. All right, one side is bound. You can see it caught the stitching all the way around, and it's okay if it sticks out like this as long as the seam is covered. That's perfectly fine. You can see I think I sewed myself a wrinkle in there, but that's okay. All right, it's stitched all the way. We're going to go ahead now and do the other side. So again, take that other long piece. We're going to fold in a 1/4 inch or so on one end. If you don't want to use your fingernails, ooh, we're going to sew in this one. If you don't want to use your fingernails, use a wooden press. Make yourself a nice flat seam right there. We're going to go ahead and attach that to this bottom right at the edge. We're making sure we're covering the edge right here. We're going to go ahead and just sew that on with the 1/4 inch seam. And I'm just adjusting as I go. I find it easier than clipping at this moment. Just flattening everything as I sew around. You could also use bias tape if you have any pre-cut bias tape or bias binding tape. But this stretches pretty nicely and lays pretty flat. I'm going to go ahead and cut away a 1/4 inch away from the edge. And then I'm going to fold it up just like this, create my crease. And then sew that on. We're going to do that same procedure, fold it in to the line, and then fold it over to the other side. Put a clip there, just folding it in to the stitch line, and then folding it over and putting a clip on it. Into the stitch line, all the way around. And then folding it over. You can see once you get it folded over, it lays pretty nicely. So I'm just going to make sure that it's folded over nicely as I put some clips around it. And we're going to do that same procedure by stitching in the ditch on the back side. Again, you can stitch from the front side if you want, but it's easier to keep that 1/4 inch seam if you're stitching from this back side. So again, I'm just going to stitch in that ditch. You need to make sure on your machine that you are also, because there's a lot of layers here, that you have your presser foot pressure gauge, which is on the top that makes your foot up and down higher for pressure wise. Make sure that is up. And if you're using a machine that does not have that, hopefully your machine can sew through this many layers. Just sew slowly. I'm just adjusting it as I go. Alright, I'm going to check it and make sure it got the binding all the way around, and it did catch it. It caught it. It caught it. It looks good. It looks good. Now the bag is done. I'm just going to snip away these little excess threads right here at the end. And all we have to do now is turn our bag right side out. Okay, ready? Turn the whole thing right side. Oh, yeah, look, it looks really nice, by the way. Really nice. All right, here we go. I like using the accent color. Again, you can use whatever one you want. It doesn't matter. But there's plenty of fabric to do it. All right, and I'm going to flip these out, pushing it out nicely so you can see my binding did not mess any of this up. It's still perfectly flat. Push this bottom of the bag out. They're meant to be a loose bag. It's not meant to be super stiff, but you can make it super stiff if you want. Just going to hold my little hook. And there is my little backpack. So you can see the little handles. It fits on your arm. So if you just want to like carry it on your arm, and it has a nice hook. Again, you can put a swivel hook on this, and you could have put little D-rings on this and made a strap if you wanted to carry crossbody. That one's up to you. It may fit some cell phones in this bag. It does not fit mine, but it fits makeup in it. If you want makeup, you can use it for your grandkids to put little knickknacks in it. You can put whatever you want in it. You can have it as a candy bag. You can have it as a sewing notion bag, whatever you want to use it for. This is just an adorable little bag, and it has plenty of room inside. Everything is sealed off. It looks so adorable with that accent color being inside of there. So you can make it whatever colors. You can use a ton of different fabric. It's up to you. This is your little bag. So I hope you enjoyed today's little backpack bag tutorial. I hope you found it easy to follow along to create the template, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Thank you.